There's a brand new day ahead, so much to do, so much to see, so get your ass up out of bed. Get out now, time's wasted, there's no reward for hesitating. Hey guys, I'm back with some more time travel stuff. I'm going to use some metaphors and analogies today to kind of clarify some ideas. And because the thing is, everybody knows, reality is governed by laws, rules, you know what I mean? Everything about reality, right? Like the laws of physics, gravity, so on. These things are constants. They remain the same because, well, they're the law, right? Well, with time, your main law that governs it is called the arrow of time, right? Which states that our mind perceives time as moving in a straight line from the past into the future. And we can see this even without memory because you see things age, you know what I mean? And so to show this as a metaphor, I'm going to use this car. This is the car of time, right? So let's take a look at that. Alright, here we've got the big blue car of time, right? And it's cruising along this timeline road, right? Now, of course, this car follows the same rules and laws as time itself, meaning it can only travel forward, right? It can't stop moving, and it has a finite amount of fuel. It's not going to go forever, right? It's going to burn that fuel as it goes. And it's cruising along from point A to point B, right? And everything that happens in the lifetime of the driver is going to happen along that route. I think everybody can understand this analogy. But the thing is, the crazy thing is, if the driver knows how, without breaking any of the laws, he can find a workaround, right? Let's say he learns how to do a U-turn. Okay, look. So yeah, still cruising along, hasn't stopped moving, also hasn't stopped moving forward, and he's still burning fuel. And now he's going from point B to point A, right? Still moving, didn't break any of the laws. Okay, so that's a pretty cool little analogy I think everybody can understand. The problem is, people say, yeah, but the past has already happened. It's gone. Okay, time moves in a straight line from the past into the future, right? The thing is, that's not true. That's not the case. That's just how your mind perceives it. Okay, if that were the case, you wouldn't have any free will. Everything that happens would be preordained. Okay, now let me show you what I mean by that. Alright, anyway, instead of an actual straight line, time actually works more like a grid, like this. Now, needless to say, the actual grid is going to be a whole lot more dense than this, with like billions and billions and billions of possible timelines. But for this one example, my grid is going to work just fine. Anyhow, so what happens is, let's say you're cruising along your life, going through your life on this timeline. Then you make a decision, that changes it. You go over this way. Now you're following this timeline. You're not following that timeline anymore. You know what I mean? You make decisions and things that change the course of your life. And so now, you do like that. And, outside influences, decisions that you make, all of these things are changing your timeline, even right now, you know what I mean? So rather than a straight line, time is actually a lot more like this. So your mind doesn't perceive all those direction changes to your mind. It just seems like a long string of single moments happening, one after the other, in a nice straight line going from the past, through your present, on into the future. I mean, you're even planning ahead for what's going to happen in the future. Rather than going in a straight line, you're actually all over the map. And that's actually a pretty good analogy for this grid, because it is like a map. Because all these points are happening simultaneously in time. That's why you're able to make those course changes. Alright, so now, thinking of the grid of time as a map where you're actually able to make course changes as you go through your life. Let's say you're cruising along your timeline and you figure out how to make a directional change this way. And now you make a U-turn and you're going back this way. Okay, you haven't broken any of the laws. right? Even though this point is behind your starting point back here in time, this is actually before it in time. You see what I mean? Because you're going forward. Okay, so yeah, it's just like this car doing a U-turn, right? You didn't break any of the rules. Even though you're going into the past, you're still going forward. You're still going into your own future. You're still burning that finite amount of fuel. What I mean is, okay, let's say you turn around and go back in time and you travel that way for 5 years, right? Even though you're going into my past, you're still going to be 5 years older than you are today. So actually, when you think about it, it's possible that you could turn around and go back in time and just travel so long that you would grow old and die. You know what I mean? You're still going into your future. Of course, you know what I mean? That just because you turn around and go back in time, you're not going to age in reverse and turn into a baby and then cease to exist. You know, it doesn't make any sense. You're still driving forward. You're still burning that finite amount of fuel and so on. And so I know it seems crazy and mind-bending, but it's really not when you think about it. Once we figure out how to navigate on that big grid of time, going from one point to any other point will be just as easy or difficult as going to any other point. You know, turning around and going into the past will be just as simple as just going into your future. You know, it makes perfect sense. And actually, you want to know the mind-bendy part? Since all the points on this map of time are happening simultaneously, we already have developed time travel. So I'm going to leave you with that because I'm out of time. And we'll catch you later.